How's it going, everybody? Chris Cards back through the mail. Monday, 5 returns for you today on this glorious Monday. Or any other day of the week you may be watching this. Our first return from Greensboro, North Carolina. If I can get it out here. We've got vintage. We've got a 65 Topps card signed by Mr. Bob Humphreys. 88 years young. Mr. Bob Humphreys still going strong. Great signer. 65 Topps card signed right there beautifully. Spent 9 years in the bigs as a reliever. 1970 Topps, 1968 Topps, and 1966 Topps. Nice returns. Vintage to start it off. Very nice. Spent 5 years with the Senators. St. Louis Cardinals, 1964 World Series champion with the Cardinals. Very nice return. 319 games. Only started 4 in his career. After his playing career was over, he went on to scout, even was the coach at Virginia Tech for a few years, including 76 and 77 when they made it to the College World Series. Nice return from Bob Humphreys. There is his information. Great way to start off this week's Through the Mail on Monday with a little vintage. Our next return from Abilene, Texas. If you could see it there on the circular postmark, very rare postmark, and a very rare return area for Through the Mail Monday. Not too many from Abilene, Texas make it back to me. We've got a 92 Topps winners card of Mr. Jerry Don Gleaton, signed and inscribed with a Bible verse, John 3:16, on looks like all of these cards here. 91 Donners, 91 Topps, 81 Topps there, signed as well. Bob Babcock signed, so I can get 2 or 3 there on that one. John Butcher is a tough signature, so probably will not complete that card. First round draft pick way back in 1979, 17th overall by the Texas Rangers. 12 years in the bigs with 6 different teams: Kansas City, Texas, Seattle, Detroit, the White Sox, and Pittsburgh. 12 years in the bigs, got into 317 games, only started 16 of them, so his career kind of paralleled that of Bob Humphreys, our last return. Of course, Bob Humphreys played in fewer years and got into more games than Mr. Jerry Don Gleaton. That is, of course, a product of the eras they both played in. There's information. Awesome return from Jerry Don Gleaton. All sorts of 90s cards and even 80s cards to have him sign. Nice to get these back. Let's move on, guys, to return number 3. All right, friends. Our next return is from Phoenix, Arizona. And from the feel of it, not much in here. We've got a signed index card for Mr. Charlie Rabe of the Redlegs way back in 1957 and 1958. Charlie Rabe here signed on a 1958 Topps card, as well as a signature card, and he signed the protective index card as well. Inscribed 57-58 Cincinnati Redlegs. That is, of course, the team he was on, of course, better known as the Reds. They were the Redlegs for a few years in the 50s. 92 years young, still going strong with the signatures. Got into 2 games in 1957, got into 9 games in 1958. That's right, 11 games total in his career, an 0-4 record with a 3.67 ERA. Did start 2 of those games. Very nice to get this signed by 92-year young Charlie Rabe. Nice return. There's information. We are hitting the vintage hard so far. 2 out of 3 returns is definitely had a vintage flair to it. Let's move on, guys, to return number 4. All right, Tampa St. Pete for our next return. Let's see if we get another pitcher. Pitchers are very popular so far in this week's Through the Mail Monday. And we have index card. Maybe signed, maybe not signed. Not signed. And we've got, yes, another pitcher. We got John O'Donohue, not to be confused with the, I think, 80s or 90s pitcher of the same name who played for the Orioles. John O'Donohue there played 9 years in the bigs, 3 with the Athletics, a couple years with the Montreal Expos and a few other teams as well. Was an All-Star in 1965, of course. Went 9-18 that year, tied for the league lead in losses. So that was a weird year for him to be an All-Star. But nonetheless, he was an All-Star in 1965 as he inscribed the first card there with his accolade. John O'Donohue, who once made an entry into Jim Bouton's Ball 4 book. Great read if anyone has ever read that. John Bouton said most of the team would shoo kids away and tell them that they would get fined if they signed autographs for him. And I guess chief amongst the kid shooers was John O'Donohue, who would not sign at all. And of course, thankfully, though, many, many years later, he did not shoo me away and sign these 3 cards very nicely. Nice return from John. Let's move on, guys, to our final return of the day. North Houston, Texas for our 5th and final return of this week's Through the Mail Monday. It says something on the back. It says, thank you. I can understand that. And then it says code 89 or cards 89. No idea what that means. If you guys have an idea, let me know in the comments below. Maybe if we open up this envelope and see who it is, it'll give us a hint. Nope. Carl Warwick here. Carl Warwick here signed beautifully. 6-year career. 4 of those with St. Louis, including that 1964 World Series championship team that Bob Humphreys was on. What are the odds of getting 2 64 World Series champions in one Through the Mail Monday with only 5 returns? Pretty impressive. Carl Warwick does charge $5 for his signature, which I signed, which I paid for because I wanted to get his signature on this card, and it looks great, by the way. Carl Warwick, of course, not a pitcher, our first non-pitcher of this week's Through the Mail Monday. 218 batting average, 31 bombs, and as I said, Johnny Keane called upon him 5 times to pinch hit 5 times in that 1964 World Series, and he got on base 4 of those 5 times. Very nice return. Carl Warwick. And that is it, my friends, for this week's Through the Mail Monday. Thanks for watching. Hope everyone had a great weekend, great Father's Day weekend for you fathers out there on Sunday. It's now been 2 years without my father. Quite a bummer. Was thinking about him yesterday / today. Of course, I'm doing this on Sunday, so I've been thinking about him today and wishing he was still around. But he'd be 85 years old today because today also was his birthday. That's right, 1939. June 16th, if I can get it out. June 16th, and 5 years ago, we had a nice little party, and it was Father's Day and his birthday, which lined up quite often, and missed him yesterday, of course, and all the fathers that are still with us. Hope everyone out there had a great day. We had a nice little big 80th birthday bash for my dad 5 years ago, which Facebook reminded me of yesterday, so of course that got the whole thing, think about the whole thing, and it's tough to think about that stuff. I sort of just bury it deep down below and put it out of mind. So probably a healthier way of dealing with that, but I'll figure that out maybe one of these days. But right now, still just going to bury it way down there deep, with all the other baggage that's down there. Not too much baggage, I guess. Things are going pretty good in the world of Chris Cards. Last weekend, of course, me and my buddy Russell, 2 S's, 2 L's, we camped out at Sonoma for the NASCAR race. Friday was the ARCA race. Saturday was the Xfinity race. And Sunday was, of course, the NASCAR Cup Series race. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. We camped. We did one of those RV Center, Cruise America, I think it's called. We rented one of those RVs, and considering the price of a hotel and a car, and of course the time of driving back and forth to the track, which is like on one road, and it's kind of a brutal trip, I think we did pretty good renting the RV. We did bring enough supplies to make it comfortable. Sleeping arrangements were fine. Obviously not that comfortable, but it is what it is. But we had a good time. Here's the RV actually. And here is the start of the race, the NASCAR race, actually. Very exciting from our Turn 7 thing. And, of course, this is our second NASCAR weekend in a row. We went to the Xfinity race the previous Sunday as well in Portland. So we did Portland, and then we did Sonoma. So back-to-back road courses for the Xfinity cars. And, of course, we saw the big guys on Sunday. Here they are racing by us. And there they go. And if I let that record for another 3 seconds, I would have captured an accident. As you can actually see at the very end of the video, they start wrecking, and I just shut the video off because, of course, I can't really see it through the viewfinder as I'm recording it, but making sure my shot's still lined up. So just need to make sure I keep running, hitting record and recording all the way through until they're out of sight. Doesn't make any sense to stop the recording right there, but I did. So, oh well, whatever. You live and you learn, right? So very exciting watching those guys scream by us every lap. And Turn 7, and then we set up in Turn 2, the top of Turn 2 on Saturday and Friday. Very nice. Try to get out of the sun a little bit. Here's the awesome pass from Shane Van Gisbergen on Austin Hill here with the last restart of the race here for Xfinity. This is the winning move right here, so there's a video of that. So and there they go. Very exciting race. A lot of good times had down there in Sonoma. Great weather, great scenery, great racing. Of course, the Portland International Raceway visit that we did 2 weeks ago, I showed some video of that, and of course that was we were really up close and personal. We were right in front of the cars, basically, but we only had about a couple hundred yards where they were in front of us. Otherwise, you couldn't see anything. Sonoma, of course, built into the side of a mountain, basically. There's lots of vantage points from all over the track where you can see most of the track. Still really far away. But if you want, you can watch the track. Of course, they got the big screens up, so you can still watch the big screens and see what's going on in places where you can actually see the cars. So, in fact, I'm going to end this video with one full lap from my turn 7 vantage point. You guys get an idea of how much you can see when you're out there in the stands. So, still, of course, you go into the road courses knowing you're not going to see the whole track. So, and even the bigger tracks, you can barely see the backstretch. So, it is what it is with NASCAR racing and all that stuff. They raced Iowa. In fact, Iowa just got over with. Ryan Blaney won that race. So, Mets won 5 in a row. Things are looking up. Actually, things are not looking up. My cat, Leo, had to put her down on a Friday morning. She had been battling cancer for quite a few months. Was given about 2 weeks back in January, and she made it until June, 14th, 15th, 13th, or whatever it is, whatever Friday was. I think it was the 14th. Yeah, that was a bummer. Think she made it to 16 years old, maybe 17 years old. Not quite sure, actually. I got to go back and look at my really old pictures to get a timestamp on how old my cats are. So had 3 cats. I'm down to 1 now, Diego. Kind of a bummer. Was a rough day on Friday. Very upsetting. Even though you know what's going to happen and you're preparing yourself, it's still really hard to do. But we woke up Friday morning and she was just... I couldn't find her anywhere. And I saw poop in the hallway, and I kind of know that's not a very good sign if she can't control that. So looked all over the house for her, couldn't find her, and knew that was also a very, very bad sign. So went downstairs, and I sat on my chair, sat on my sofa, and plugged in my phone, and was kind of thinking things over. And I hear a plop, and I look over, and I can see the bottom 3 stairs from my chair leading down into the our den area. And there she was, just laying on that, laying on the second to bottom step, and she was looking at me, and she was just laying on her side. So she must have walked all the way down the stairs so slowly and so difficult. I didn't even hear her, and you can always hear the cats going up and down the stairs. Even though they're carpeted, you can still hear them. So I looked at her. She was on her side, and she made a meow that did not sound good, and I knew it was not good news. She never comes downstairs because she's getting so weak. It was difficult for her to go up and down the stairs. She hasn't been downstairs in months, so she came downstairs, I think, to kind of look for me, and she found me, and I picked her up off the steps after I unhooked her claws from the step, because they just, every time she just gets them hooked into the steps and the carpet. So picked her up, and she was purring up a storm, and I'll never forget that moment. That was heartbreaking to hear her purr like that. But I think she came downstairs looking for me, and she found me. I went upstairs, carried her upstairs, walked back through the hallway where she had pooped again. So wherever she was upstairs, because I cleaned it up, and then she pooped again, almost in the same spot. And so she was upstairs somewhere hiding from me. And I put her down in front of her food bowl, and she just laid down and looked at me. She was done. She was tired. She was exhausted. So called the vet and took her in. And very difficult. I'm sure a lot of you have been through that situation. We've got 1 cat left, Diego. And I think after he's gone, I think we're going to take a break from pets for a while. Just too difficult to deal with, and our last 2 pets died, and we spent a lot of money on them trying to keep them alive, and they're expensive. They're kind of expensive, and I can't take it. I can't take losing them. I know all the good times you had, blah blah blah. I get it. It's still tough. I'm still upset about it, but she was purring up a storm when I picked her up, and that's great. I mean, that makes me feel good. But yeah, so that was a bummer on Friday. That was not a good way to start the weekend, but it is what it is. And had a weekend, just kind of a quiet weekend at home with my wife and our last kitty. And all right, I've rambled on long enough about literally everything, so I'm gonna cut it off here. I've probably reached that magical 15-minute mark or maybe 16-minute mark where this video actually gets pushed by YouTube, and some new person watches this and like, what the hell? What is this video about? I opened up some envelopes earlier, TTMs, and then I just kind of do my own thing. So it is what it is, my friends. That's just therapeutic. Good to talk about sometimes. All right, I'm done. I swear. But yeah, rip Leo. Good cat.